Let me just pause for a second. I woke up not too long ago. It's 3 a.m. And I wanted to do maybe a more concise stream than I did earlier because I heard my mic was popping and things like that. So hopefully, okay. So I want to do a more concise stream because I heard that my mic was popping earlier. Okay, so if you guys, okay, so one of the ideas that are floating around New York is that, people need to be New York strong. And sorry, I'm repeating myself. My stream keeps cutting off, so I don't know not what's going through and what's not going through. But I remember thinking to myself, like, why does a city need to have to put all this stuff? Why do they need to talk about, being nice to each other? Why isn't that natural? Hold on. Yeah, so I thought to myself, why does New York have to have all these posters and things like that, basically telling people to be nice to each other? Why doesn't it come naturally? And I realized that the reason why it doesn't come naturally is because you can't try to instill you can't like basically expect people to treat each other with respect if you got people who are just like don't give a crap kind of thing. Like in Hawaii, you don't have to really have people be like, oh, let's treat people with kindness and respect. Like Hawaii is not all 100% Asian, okay? It's not like everybody is the same as me. I have met people who are definitely different than me, but one thing that remains the same is that we all overall, treat each other with warmth and kindness and respect. And I feel like New York is one of those places where you need to be extremely mentally strong to to live in a place like that, to thrive in a place. And I know how this is going to come off, but I feel that New York is a different ballgame than Hawaii. Hawaii is more like, I don't want to say heart stars and rainbows, but it's more along the lines of, like if you have like one of those like really friendly dear aunts, the people who are like, oh, how are you doing today? I'm doing well. Yeah. And it's just like, they're just like, whenever you meet them, they're just so friendly and so kind and so nice. Like, I would describe that as Hawaii. New York, I would say it's that kind of feeling or that kind of like relative where, they're kind of like standoffish. You try to be nice to them, but sometimes they're nice to you, sometimes they're not nice to you. And that's how I generally feel about a lot of the people there. It's very, like, they're not mean people, but it's just very polite. Like, it's polite, and then you can kind of sense there's a wall for whatever reason. I don't know why the wall's there, but there's a wall. And I don't sense like people like connect on the level like people do in Hawaii. It's not like you got two people connecting from the heart. It's more like you got people who are just like you got a lot of acquaintances. And I know what people will also tell me. They'll say, "Oh, Erica, it's a you problem. It's not a them problem." Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe I just couldn't assimilate well. But I just find it kind of bizarre. I find it bizarre that you have a major city like this, and it just seems that there's a lot of problems in there, and you can blame it on population density, you can blame it on high cost of living, but remember, Hawaii is a very expensive place to live in. So it's not like New York is just so up there and then Hawaii is like, you know so cheap. There are people who struggle in Hawaii, but it's all about the way that they handle things. I have known people who are poor, people who don't have that much money, but they choose to really make the best of it. People who it's like they got so many bills, but no matter what, they don't let it affect their mind. And those are the kind of people that I was around. So when I see people tell me, oh, yeah, well, you don't understand because, there's things going on in New York and it's really bad for people. I just kind of think to myself, like, look, I see how people approach situations in Hawaii. I see how people approach situations in New York. And I just think that there are more depressed people in New York versus in Hawaii because of a lack of community. I mean, again, you have to have a movements telling people to be decent to each other. Like, what's up with that? But New York, I think, is a place where a lot of people are just really looking out for themselves. You have people who is just like, I will do anything to get ahead in life, and I don't mind stepping over a lot of people. That's why you see a lot of scam artists. You see a lot of people who are just not nice to each other in terms of how they treat each other, and then it causes, those all those scammers and things like that causes people's trust to break. And I can't tell you, I think people are. I mean, I can't tell you how much of a how to put this. I can't tell you about how pervasive this is, but it seems like it's pretty damn pervasive for whatever reason. Hawaii, it's like if you ask me, have you come across scammers in Hawaii? I'd say very, very, very far and few between. And it's not just like, it's not like I can tell you, like, yeah, out of one out of every 100 people kind of thing. It's just like it's such a low thing because people in Hawaii are really on the same page, right? It's like we all kind of think we're all on this little island together. Yes, we all have troubles and things like that. Yes, maybe we're not as, successful as we want to be, but that's really no reason to hold resentment towards one another. There's no reason to go ahead and be mean to one another. But yeah, I think people just get lost in their heads, just like, and then it causes people to just kind of like just really have to just like think about making sure that they avoid those kind of people and those people remain unchecked. So you got a lot of people who it's like if they're a scam artist or something, it's like, oh well, just forget about them. Just you just gotta like think about yourself kind of thing. But when you're around people like that, when you hear comments from people, it really does get under your skin. In my previous stream I had spoken about that I couldn't, I didn't realize there were like so much, you know, like chasings um in New York. I heard about it, but it was just kind of weird to me that it was just on that kind of level because I come from a little tropical island, right? So, I mean, like again, I know people who are not like me, who are not the same ethnicities as me, but yeah, we wouldn't want to be like that to another. I mean, yes, you do have some people who have said some really stupid things, but it's not like too much, you see. So I just think overall a lot of the stuff that goes on to New York, I think it's really brought by the community. And I'm not seeing how legislation, I'm not seeing how a lot of stuff can really change because how can you expect people to change if like the community itself is not really changing? You see, like people fall in line, and when people fall in line like that, it just like things will not change. Like you can have all the posters and whatnot and all the movements out. It's like I don't see overall the people in New York being different. I just see it as kind of like the same old thing, and you're either in or you're out. And if you can't handle the heat, then yeah, you're probably not considered New York strong. But yeah, it's really mental toughness and mental fortitude. And I would also say that it does involve people to be kind of cold to each other, kind of isolated, and just really be, I don't want to say on edge, but you need to be very keenly aware because you don't have that same kind of level of like comfort as you do in Hawaii. So when I will think back on my time in New York, I will think to myself, it was a different ball game, and you really need to have a lot of mental fortitude, or you will not be able to survive in that place. I think that there are mechanisms that people form in their brain in order to protect themselves from a lot of crap in New York. And as a result of that, you see people just kind of be distant to themselves. distance like to others. And yeah, you guys, people can criticize me for that and say no, it's just a you thing, Erica, but I can see, the energy of people in Hawaii, and I could see the energy of people in New York. And when I see people based on things like body language, you see people are a lot more relaxed. You see people are a lot more smiley. You can see that people are just a lot more calm in Hawaii. And I don't know these people at all. They don't know me. Like there are people that I don't even talk to and I could just read their body language. So, but yeah, in New York, it's more like icy, cold, polite. They just do their own thing, and then that's it. Yeah. So I would say it's just polite, but it isn't. You don't have that connection. It's like I said, it's like you meet a bunch of acquaintances, and yeah, you have a problem with it. Like you just, yeah, that's it. Like, yeah, you can't change it. You can't change it at all. Yeah, so yeah. I mean like I said, I can't look at like New York and then just say like, "Oh yeah." Um I just can't look at New York and then just be like I don't like I said, I don't really feel that I could have done a lot of things different because I did try to talk to people. I did try to reach out to people, but overall I just felt like a lot of people that I met, they just thought to themselves, like, what can I gain from like knowing this chick? She's not, anything special. Like she's nice, but that's about it. So it's kind of like a waste of my time to talk to this chick because why do I need a nice person in my life? I don't need a nice person in my life. That doesn't, like people can't gain from that. And it's just like that was the general feeling like I got from a number of people. And it is what it is. Like you can't, like I said, you can't like break that kind of thought. And I just like I have to like kind of look at people from like two different areas and then just look at it that way. But yeah, like it is really what it is. So I feel that in the future, if I ever lived in New York, you would see me just be a lot more firm. Because it's like you can't expect people there to be like people in Hawaii. It's a different group, right? Um, that's I think people aim to be nice, right? Of course. But it's like you see people, and if you're nice, then people just assume, I think, the worst. They assume, when they say, like, hey, if you're a nice person, you're perceived as being mentally weak. I do actually believe that falls true in New York. I think that you need to be on guard. People can smell weakness, and people hate weakness. So yeah, I've seen, like I've said, right? I've seen people where you think they would be good-hearted people, but even people in like freaking food pantries can be absolute assholes, right? So like you see that and you're like, what the man? Like where's this like is it, like the same kind of people kind of thing? Overall, like it's just like lacks a lot of warmth. It's like, okay, you do what you need to do, but yeah, it's just like very like there's how would I say it? You're either in or you're out. And yeah, like if you wanna like metric people like that, then I would say that yeah, New York is your place. But don't expect to have like real connections with people, like kind of thing. Like for for a lot of people out there. Like if you're that kind of person, you're like, oh hey, let's hang out kind of thing. I don't think a lot of that stuff is really like genuine on the level like Hawaii. But yeah, like you have a problem with it, like that's you. You either assimilate or you don't assimilate. So that's it. Be strong. Be strong. You gotta have like a mental wall up. And if you are weak, people I think just don't like that. It's not like in Hawaii. Like I've known people who are weak. Um, and you just show like more empathy and kindness kind of thing. But I think in New York, it's like, why are you such a weak person? Oh no, 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 I do agree. I think, but I think that you can find communities that you like, but like I can find a person like I think that okay, how would I put this? Like even if you find communities that you like, you still have to talk about like the way people see each other and the way that people treat each other. And yeah, I've considered myself to be a spiritual person, but I don't like go to churches and things like that. It's not because I hate it. It's just like a thing. But I'm very, like I said, like I do believe that there is afterlife. I do believe that there is God. But I don't, I don't, go to church. There's nothing, like I said, I'm not against the idea of going to church. It's just, it is what it is. So yeah, going to just like selling my plush and stuff and seeing people interact with each other was just really something to me. Like I said, I'm not saying that people in New York are all mean people, okay? What I'm saying is that I don't think there's that level of connection that you have like in Hawaii. So yeah, I also think that you guys could criticize me on this, but I think there's a lot of mental health issues, so it's been pretty conditioned to think like, yeah, if you have a mental health issue, then you're a weak person as well. So take it however you guys want to. But yeah, you got to be mentally strong to live in New York. If you're not mentally strong, I would say think otherwise because I think that if people pick that thing up, they just won't they just won't respect you. And then that's how you see things continue to be the way they are because people just all have defenses up. And yeah, when people have defenses up, it's just like, okay, you don't really have that open nature kind of thing that you feel that there is in Hawaii. And I'm not saying like everybody in Hawaii is like super warm, but there's a lot higher percentage than in New York. Again, I did share like at the convention, those like people walking around, just like there was this old guy walking around with like a bag of candy and then just saying, like, oh, here's some candy, and they just brought it because they just wanted to make people happier, and he's not gaining anything by giving people candy. But yeah, in Hawaii, you see that, and you just kind of think, hey, that's a nice person walking around them and say, hey, do you want to try this lihimui? It's just like they don't have anything to gain. They're not selling it. They bought it, but they give it to people because they just want to be a nice person. You know? I woke up. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had sleeping issues. So I've spent a lot of time thinking and then reflecting and then just changing, I don't know if you guys can tell. Maybe you guys can tell, but I changed a lot. Um but I don't think I became like a cold person. I think I became a more aware person. And you just you just gotta like block off certain things kind of thing. But yeah, when I become less emotional and more logical, I'm able to see things that isn't clouded by, you know, emotions. I just can see and say things like this is the way it is. I'm not, like I said, if you saw me in New York, you wouldn't say I'm a mean person at all. You would not call me a mean person, but I think people would overall say, there's something like I've had people tell me, they say like I think a lot of people did not respect me because I think they felt like I was weak. And there's something about weakness that just isn't that is looked down upon in New York that you don't really have that like hard line in Hawaii. Like people, like I said, like people are all different, right? I'm not gonna be like, oh, that's a mentally weak person, like what a loser kind of thing. But I feel like in New York, that's the kind of general feeling that you have. So you go out there, you have a freaking, you have like armor on you because you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for like the people there, and you got to be mentally tough. And people might say that's pretty taxing, but you it's like you build this mental fortitude. And I remember I knew a person. I knew a person years ago, and they were so mentally strong. I could never figure out why they were so mentally strong. But I remember having discussion with them, and they told me, they said that I was similar to them, in terms of the way that I was. And they told me basically that you see the world, I think they said something like you see the world in such like an idealistic way, and that's just gonna like mess you up. And I remember just thinking to myself like really, like is it that bad to see an idealistic way? And then they said that they used to be like me, and this person was really like a really tough person. And I remember they just like they did not put up with from no one kind of thing. And they did not allow people to smell weakness on them at all. And I don't consider this person to be a mean person, but they were extremely firm. And I think that's I forgot if they lived in New York or not. I really forgot. I know they were very well traveled, but I just remember that distinctively. Like they had this switch, shall I say. Like they can be very soft with people, right? Very, very kind. But on the outside, they were just very direct, extremely like I don't want to even say almost like a very abrasive, but it was like you did not want to mess with them at all. Like just based on their energy, you did not want to like say anything out of line because they're that kind of person. In 2 seconds they would defend themselves. And it's not defending themselves like fighting. I'm saying defending themselves like verbally. This person had like a very like they were able to just like um and I think I finally understand it. I think I finally understand, why they are the way they are, because I think their experiences in life show them that if you're a weak person, people will see you differently and people will not respect that weakness. Because it depends, right? It depends where you are. If you're in Hawaii, if you are too like kind of like walled up, people will not feel comfortable because that's the way Hawaii is, right? People in Hawaii are warm and fuzzy. But, right, when you connect with a person, you can drop your defenses down. However, if you're around other people and you sense there's a lot of like scumbags out there, a lot of people who would just try to like um just be pieces of crap, like you need to really be on edge in New York, in my opinion. It's just mentally prepared, mental toughness kind of thing. And I think it causes people to get colder to one another just because of experiences. No, I'm not in New York now, but yeah. Like if I had realized this kind of stuff, I don't think I would have been too different, but I think I would have been a lot more. I think people would have just picked up. They would have been like, "Whoa, this chick is just like a lot more, a lot more communicative." Yeah. You see where I'm getting at? Like, it's like you go out there and you need to be aware there might be a person who will try to tell you off there. You have to be aware that one person will try to take advantage of another person. So when you go out there, right, don't take things personally because that's the way New York can be. It really screens out the weak from the tough. So when people see the weak, it's like you're a waste of time. You're way too weak. Like, how can you expect to survive in a place like that with your mental weakness? Like, you need to have your defenses up. And if you don't have those defenses up, again, people will smell it, people won't respect it, and people would say, why is this person such a loser? And you don't even, like I'm saying, like, these people are not even like your like best friends or anything like that. It's just like people don't like weakness in New York. I really don't think so. I really don't think so. I think that you just need to fall in line, and that is why you lack a lot. There, I think that's why New York loses a lot of soul. Like, contrary to what people will say about, oh, New York is a place where you got all these people and you got all this entertainment and all these places to go to. Like, when I look at people, you guys, like, I'm saying this as a person who sees who who sees how people are in New York City and then also the way people are in Honolulu, Hawaii. So I feel comfortable in stating these kind of things. So yeah, Hawaii is more like come as you are, just be a nice person. Be sweet, be nice. And yeah, I've known people like I've met people where they're just very shy. They're very shy people. And you can kind of tell like they're that kind of person where they won't they're very weak, in terms of and very soft in terms of emotions. Like I can't describe it. Those kind of people like you think like if someone hurts them, they would just stay down for a long time. Those people like you think they internalize things. I've met people like that. But instead of thinking to myself like I don't want to associate with them, I think to myself I want to protect them even more. I don't want to be mean to these people. I don't want to smell the weakness and just laugh at them kind of thing. You see? Like I don't get those kind of things. I see people who are not emotionally stable and I guess there's something within me that just it just kind of touches something within me, like it triggers something in me. But yeah, I can't it's like I think if I had dumped some of those people like I'm referring to in New York, they would have not been good. And it's one of the reasons why when I hear about people telling me, "Oh, Erica, I want to move to New York," if I know their mental state is not strong, I keep telling them like you need to make sure you have a support system. You need to make sure that you have people that you can you can talk to and you talk to these people because it is very easy to let the people in New York rub off on you. And you can feel isolated. You can feel like you just don't fit in, and that makes me a little worried because again I know depressed people and I know people who are close to people in Hawaii, and I'm trying to tell people like please understand New York is not going to be the same as Hawaii. And I don't want to like say it directly, but now that I think about it, I almost want to tell them like I don't think you're like straight up like I don't think you're mentally strong to handle New York. Because if you're looking for people in Hawaii to be in New York, you're going to have a hard time finding these people because people again fall in line. So, yeah, it's like you're just in this state where you just think to yourself, how can you change the people? You can't. And again, like, I don't hold, like, I just think to myself, like, it is what it is. Like, I can think about like oh things that I should have been and things like that, but it's like it doesn't change the overall just that I feel. Like I said, like I'm not gonna be saying like hey yeah I like how would I put it, like New Yorkers are just the way they are. You cannot expect New Yorkers to be like Hawaiians. It's just different, like community, the ways people view communities is different. You don't have like fractionization. I feel like in New York there's a lot of like fractions. There's a lot of like people where it's like us against them. And I don't think that's a healthy mentality at all. I think that that mentality causes a lot of problems because when you start going and falling back on, chases and things like that, it's like people just I can't talk to you guys in detail about this because I will be straight up. Like I don't know how relations are, between different races and whatnot. But I can tell you this straight up. When I was in New York, when I went to New York, I never, ever went out there thinking, hey, yeah, there's other people and then there's me. I just thought, hey, I'll be a good person and I'll be a nice person and I'll be good. But I had instances, like I said, I had instances of chases, you know, towards me. And I thought to myself, you're going to tell me, I'm pretty sure that it's just like, you're going to tell me, or you want me to kind of think to myself, like, yes, it's okay if it happens to me, but it's not okay, if it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay for people to throw shade at me and like no one cares kind of thing. And like that's the thing cuz I'm like I think the Asian community, this whole anti-Asian hate thing, I don't think anybody really cares about it. I think the Asians are just really wasting their time because I don't think that people take Asians seriously. So then you have Asians who just kind of like fall in line with other Asians, and it's like, yeah, so sorry, we hear you, but no one really cares because it keeps going on, and I just don't think that like I know that sounds so apathetic, but I just don't really think people care too much about the Asians. So yeah, Asians gotta watch out for freaking other Asians. Asians gotta um, watch out for themselves, and it's not just the Asian thing. I think all different races gotta watch out for themselves. I think that's a general feeling that you get from it, and yeah, um, it like again, you don't have like community when you have all this like fractionalization kind of thing. Like I almost want to like look back and say like, just tell those people off. So what? You're gonna tell me you think it's okay to be, chase us towards me, but it would not be okay for me to be like that to you, right? It's like a double standard. Because I could have stooped that low, right? But I chose not to. I was just shocked. I was like, dude, I'm minding my own business. What the hell? What the hell is this? And yeah, it was really something. And it really saddened me because it's like I just thought to myself like, whoa, like I'm really just minding my own business. And that is the reason why I just like there's just like parts of me that it was just my eyes were opened. I thought, wow, like this community is just so it's not really a community. It's more like people like just holding it together kind of thing, and then they just tell themselves like, yeah, yeah, we all live in this area, but like people watch out for themselves. They watch out for their own kind, I think, really, or related kinds. But I think there's a lot of resentment from people. And I think sometimes like people don't realize like when they hold resentment towards another group of people like that and they don't check how their language or they don't check certain things that they say, it's like perpetuating the cycle. You guys get what I'm saying? So yeah, for me, I just choose to think like, hey, you know what? Yeah, no one really cares about Asians, and just leave it at that. It's like it is what it is. I'm not gonna be like looking at other races and say, yeah, they're all ass. I'm just like, it is what it is. I give up. I mean, I can't solve it. I'm like a nobody, right? I'm like a nobody. I can't change, and I can't change how people act towards one another. All I can do is just think about how I act. And then that's why I think it's just better to just kind of be closed off because, yeah, Like you can be open, but you can't change the way people perceive other people. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, it's like you go out there and you just have like freaking battle armor with you. And I've touched upon this, right? There are people in New York that I've met, and they have such armor on them. I told you guys, they were like people that I met, and I thought I could read them. I really thought like, oh hey, this is just like a chill person, and then you find out like, holy crap, like there's a lot of stuff that people are saying about them, and you never ever would have thought that this person, it's like they have some serious allegations put against them by not just one person but multiple people, where they say like, watch out being around this person, because yeah, it seems that this person is a quiet, very shy individual, but underneath that shy persona is a person who can be considered as possibly deeply disturbed. You know what I'm saying? Like a person who, it's like you meet them and you're like, oh, this person's really quiet. They don't really talk too much. Oh yeah, they just kind of keep to themselves, and then you find out that they're not really like that. And yeah, yeah, like they can go ballistic, kind of thing. And that kind of like, I was thinking to myself like, what the hell? Like I can't read like some of these people. Yeah, like I just wish, like this is what I wished for when I was at New York. I wish that it would just be kind of like Hawaii number two. You walk down the street, you see someone, and it's like, oh hey, just chat with people and that's it. But I just felt like there was such a wall. Like I said, it doesn't help when you're just like casually walking down the street in a dress, minding your own business with an umbrella, and then someone like is hostile towards you, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want you to walk behind me. I want you to walk in front of me." Come on, like you got, like I said, like when you sense that kind of stuff, it makes you feel on edge. It's like people just have a distrust for you, not because you're intimidating, but just because of who you are, how you look like. And there's nothing intimidating about a woman in sunglasses holding an umbrella in a sundress. There's nothing intimidating about that at all. And I wasn't even, I was just minding my own business kind of thing. But yeah, there was just so much. I remember that. It was just so much like, what are you doing in my community? Why are you in my community? It's like you don't own this place. Like if you own this place, like buy all the buildings, kind of thing. But people just they just get all like pissed off. It's easier to get like pissed off about things than actually try to do a change. And I think that when people go into New York, and it's like you're gonna have like some kind of wake up call kind of thing. Like I said, I think it's really like you're in or you're out. If you cannot survive in New York, then yeah, you just kind of like, you're not gonna make it kind of thing. So yeah, I would highly suggest if anybody moves to New York, or you know stays in New York, whatever, right? You gotta like, or visits New York, you gotta understand this. I would say that like it's not you have to understand like how people can be, and I would highly suggest you can be nice, but you need to have like that sense of awareness that if people smell weakness, they will not respect it, and you just got to dig deep to find your strength. Um, and I don't think vulnerability is really something that people tolerate in New York. And yeah, but in Hawaii, it's like I see people and I can instantly tell, like, sometimes people have mental issues in Hawaii, anxiety issues, insecurity issues. Like, I speak to these people for like 2 minutes and I can pick up that stuff. And I don't see them as beneath me. I feel like I just want to give them a hug and be like, hey, you know what? I sense that you're going through something. It'll be okay. But it's not in my place to do that to a person or mention these things, right? When we're just like we casually know each other, like very casual, like 2 minutes. But what I choose to do instead is just be kinder to them, right? I don't want to be that person who ruins that person's day. Like I don't get anything out of being all like, oh, you're like you have anxiety talking to me. Like what's wrong with you? I don't get anything out of that. I think it's a mean thing to do because I've struggled with anxiety at times, but it's not. I have it a lot more under control now than I did in the past. And just getting things like help and mental health support has helped me so tremendously. So going into like the belly of the whatever whale or I don't know what you call it, belly fire, the wet belly, I don't know, whatever it is, right? I feel like it's just different. It's like I think I finally, maybe I'm misjudging, but I think I finally understand like how people have to be to to survive in New York. It's just like you got these walls, and you can be weak, but be mindful, because people will just. I don't think people really can tolerate it because they see how weak people are in New York, and yeah. No, but yeah, the only downside is like if you tell people off in Hawaii, you don't got any repercussions. You tell people off in New York, you might not live to see another day. So that's the bad thing. Like you can't give people, like you can't really give people a piece of your mind. It's not like you can just say, "Oh yeah, hey, you're such, like why are you so rude to me? Like I have every reason to be in this community just like you. You're a human being, I'm a human being, and you don't own this damn place. And if you do think you do, oh, just make more money and just buy all this property." But you can't say that because then people get triggered, and then they'll just try to like they'll probably like drive me out or something. But yeah, I don't tolerate, you know, people saying that kind of stuff like inside. I think it's just so wrong and so divisive. But, what can I say? People pack teeth and people can, from what I pick up, it's like people just don't, people don't really care about to each other too much on a human level. I think it's very hard to make connections in New York, true connections. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't lived in, I don't know. What you consider Honolulu, Hawaii to be a big city? Who knows? Like, we're there, we're considered to be a major city. You hear about Tokyo, London, like Tokyo, yeah, Tokyo, London, Honolulu, LA, New York, that kind of stuff. And so I think Honolulu goes up there. But yeah, people are different. And yeah, you just do your you really just gotta like in New York just really focus on yourself and yeah, have a really strong support system. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of mental health issues that goes on in people in New York. We're just not aware of it. And I think sometimes it manifests itself in people's personality, the way that people see each other, the way that people treat each other, and there's not enough people reaching out and just being warm. There's a difference. Like there's a difference between like genuine warmth and then what you just perceive to be politeness. Neighborhood walk. Yeah, there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people there. I think the what's it called? The underbelly of the whatever. I forgot what it is. Um, yeah, but I mean, like, look at Japan. There's like a ton of people in Japan. I've been to Japan. Look at how the people are to one another. Like, you have a crime issue in Japan? No. You have a litter issue in Japan? No. Are all the people in Japan rich? No. So I'm not gonna, I don't want to fall into this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, Erica, they're just a major city, and that's it. Like, no, you got to go like deeper than that. You got to like peel back the layers, and then say what's causing this kind of thing. It's just the culture, it's the people, culture, expectations, that kind of stuff. Yeah, there is. There's a huge mental health issue in Japan, but people are not mean to one another. At least that's what I pick up. Um, they're kind of like they're just very polite. That's at least what I picked up. I was there for, I think, how long was I in Japan for? I think 2 weeks or so. But there's mental health issues all over. I think the problem in Japan is like people, or one of the things is that from what I hear, I think mental health issues are a taboo. So people, they just keep a lot of stuff to themselves, and there's a lot of pressure on them, but they don't lash out to people. They don't be all like, oh, uh, yeah, they don't lash out at people. They don't just become like apathetic. I don't feel like it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's really just like how people are. Yeah. So I just, I just feel like, yeah, having a little, I don't want to say a wall because that has like a negative perception. People would say you're not really being genuine to yourself, but just having that awareness, like you gotta have like freaking sheet of armor around you, I think, in New York, right? Like, don't let people smell weakness. You gotta have that mental fortitude, and you just gotta be a lot more communicative. Because, yeah, if you're not like that and people smell insecurities or people that, like, yeah, you will become a joke, I think. Yeah. I mean, like, again, when I see people who are struggling with mental health issues, I don't think to myself, like, oh, yeah, what a loser. I think to myself, I feel bad for them. But I think like I said, I think in New York, there's this thing where if you have depression, like, you gotta, like, not let people pick up on your depression. That's what I feel like. Because I think a lot of people, at least from the people I I tried to reach out to, right? People that I tried to, like, hey, oh, hey, it's nice to meet you kind of thing. I just felt like it was like I didn't really know people too much overall. I'm not saying everybody because, I can't say that kind of thing. There were some really nice people, but um just overall, like, the thing is, like, you just gotta have walls up, walls, armor walls, and then just don't let people pick up that you're weak. Like, seriously, if and yeah, I think I'll probably have discussions with people offline and say, "Hey, I know that you think of New York as an idealized place, but you got to be much mentally stronger. Either that or you're gonna get disrespected, and people will not respect you at all. People might just think to themselves, like, why are you so weak? You can't live being a weaker person. You got to be strong." No, I mean, like, I meet, males who are depressed. I think that depression is definitely both males, females. Um, and we need to, instead of like pushing these people away, we need to just kind of like be gentle to them, right? You don't know what people are going on in their life. You don't know, if they just are getting beat down by life. So always try to be kind to people, try to be warm to people, try to be supportive towards people. But, if you can't reach out to them, just, just be like that little ray of sunshine. But yeah, I've seen guys, fall into depression and never get out of it. I've seen them just kind of spiral down, and I think depression in guys can cause them to just feel like they're absolute losers, or it can cause them to just be defensive and then tear other people down. Those kind of people where they're not in a mentally healthy space, and then they just have such hatred and resentment towards the world, those people. I think that's a byproduct of depression, and as well as maybe any underlying issues. And I say this because it's like you'll see people where it's like, why aren't you a nice person? Why do you just stir up such hateful stuff? And why do you look down upon people who are trying to be nice to you? Um, like I've met people like that, in Hawaii and whatnot, and I remember just wondering, why couldn't they just like just be nice? But some people, they think that their life should have been a different way, and if they don't get certain things that they want out of life, they fall into depression, and then they just blame the world for their problems, kind of thing, instead of looking within and say, yeah, I have to be this way, or I have to get mental health treatment, or I have to recognize that, yeah, maybe it's not a me problem, but maybe it's a problem of circumstances, and how am I gonna handle that situation? So, like I said, I'm not saying be an asshole to people, right? I'm not saying be mean to people. In fact, what I'm saying is that you need to protect yourself, especially if you feel like you're a very emotional person in New York, and just go on, with your life, kind of thing. But yeah, oh, Anya says New Yorkers are like dog eat dogs, and Hawaiians are like, oh, look, a puppy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like New Yorkers are you know, like that. And not everybody, but I feel like that's the feeling, right? Like we want to win, we want to get ahead in life. So we need to be like this. And Hawaiians are like, oh, hey, cute doggy, that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, you're really a good doggy, aren't you? Oh, you bit me? Like, why'd you bite me? That kind of stuff. It's like, that kind of thing. Like, hey, you know what? It's okay. I know something bad happened to you, dog. Maybe you had a really crappy owner, but that's okay. Like that's okay. You can choose to be better. You can I will be there for you trying to make you a little better doggy. And then that way we can be happy, little doggy. Like we can all be friends. Like maybe I'll see you at the park and you'll be walking around, and yeah, I'll just like say like, "Hey, how have you been?" That kind of, what I'm talking about, like that. It's like a different vibe. It's just one is just so, I don't want to say sheltered, but it's more pure. It's more lovely. But yeah, if you're seen like that, right? People could be like, "What the hell's up with this person? Why are they so weak? Can they handle any hardships in life if they have that kind of mentality?" And for me, I rather live the life of, "Hey, look, it's a dog," but then be understanding about the doggy dog world. And yeah, I don't, like I said, like I don't want people to think like I look back at like my time in New York and I'm just like, oh man, I regret or anything like that. I just see it as like it is what it is. You can't change it. Like it is what it is. Like you just gotta like protect yourself. And I really think that like I didn't realize how much it got under my skin. Like I had awareness, but I just couldn't break out of cycles. And yeah, I didn't work on like certain underlying issues that was going on in my head, and I was just becoming more and more withdrawn. And yeah, because I just, it's like you're not used to it. But yeah, you saw like at the convention, right? You saw the convention was not yesterday, but the day before. I didn't stream yesterday because I was just like people were talking to me, and I couldn't balance like streaming plus people talking to me in person plus selling at the same time. But yeah, you guys saw glimpses of the day before and just like yeah, people were nice. They were really nice. They were so nice and so gentle. Hey, you know what, Sad Dane? But yeah, like I was saying, Sad Dane, that like that's a good thing. I think one of the highest compliments to get, just is like if someone says like, "Are you from Hawaii?" Because like Hawaii people are just really nice and sunny. It's not like, we just tend to be pretty optimistic about things, roll with the punches. You know, kind of like a little, I don't want to say a shock of life, but just like, hey, you know what? We're lucky we're alive. We're lucky that, we have good people in our lives. And yeah, we might not be the richest, but we try to make up for it in soul. And I really do like that. I really do like the idea of being rich in soul. Because at the end of the day, right, money can come and go. You know, luxury items, they don't last forever. But the the you know like that you the way that you are and things like that, and like that can like be forever. Like the guy with the bottle, I don't know if I maybe you guys are gonna listen to that stream, maybe you guys won't, but like that guy who gave me that 100 euro bottle, I never asked for it. He offered it to me. He said this is for you. And you know he gave me a small bottle that has a lot of history. And I was just like, I don't know how much the bottle was, but just for him to give it to me, I just thought to myself, again, I will always hold on to that loveliness, that kindness, that sweetness. And I may never see him again in my life, who knows? But I'll always remember that kind gesture. And remember that, there's always good people in the world. There always is. So that guy, it's just I don't think he realizes that how much I'll look at that bottle and think to myself, that's a person who, you know, like I always remember like how that little gesture just brightened my day and brightened up. Yeah, I think like that's gonna be my little grounding thing. A little 100-year-old bottle, an antique bottle. Uh, and yeah, he was telling me, he says, people go over to like gulches and things like that, and they dig through outhouses or trash heaps just to grab these bottles. And then it's a true collecting thing. But what was communicated to me is a lot of those vintage Hawaiian bottles, they it's hard for people to get into it now because the younger generation doesn't care for it so much, right? Like, who the hell wants to spend like possibly $1,000 or a couple $100 on a vintage glass bottle? It's an old timer kind of thing, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but it's like a different generation, okay? Because when I was growing up, we didn't really have glass bottles that we drank from, so we don't have sentimental stuff like that. But yeah, for me to just get like one little small bottle that might have gotten, excavated and things like that, it's just very touching. Very, very touching to me. It's like a little bottle of aloha, shall I say, without sounding too cheesy. But yeah, that bottle reminds me that there are very good and kind-hearted people who just think, hey, let me try to make this person's day a little brighter, or let me just impart some some loveliness in the world. Like, cause he could have made money on it, but he just gave it to me. Never asked for my contact information or anything like that. Just so giving, so giving. And yeah, a person like that, I don't think they would. I think they would be taken advantage of in New York, straight up. So that's why I say like you got to protect people like that. Don't I know it might be people might think like, oh, what an idiot. He could have made money and he gave a bottle to her, of like €100 bottle to her. What an idiot. But we can't, we can't live our life thinking that we can bring everything with us onto the other side. We can't, right? When people die, they leave behind memories, really. And I want to live a life where I hopefully leave more positive memories. I want to, like I said, I want to leave the world a better place. And I can't help how people perceive me, but I can try to make a conscious effort to just be more lovely to people. Not because I want to be fake or anything, but I just want to be like a more higher level person and yes, spend my energy on people that I care about and work through, I've been actively working through certain insecurities of mine and being more quote clingy and because I think to myself, if anything happened to me, if I got hit by a car or something, I rather have a person think of me as clingy and I say certain things rather than just keep it in. So yeah, clingy. I don't want to say clingy life, but like there's more important things that I mean, I don't want to think just about my ego. Like I said, if someone says like, "Hey, Erica's a nice person," but yeah, she just like she tells people like she tells like she reaches out to people and she's really nice to people, and then yeah, people can like take advantage of her and things like that. It's like, man, I don't like I'm very keenly aware of that. I've had multiple people tell me, things like you're way too nice, Erica. And I'm like, yeah, is that a bad thing though? Is that really a bad thing? If you're a really nice person, but you're also around really nice people, like what do you have to worry about? I think the one of the most beautiful things out there is when you have a group of people who are just so kind and loving to and sweet to each other. Because those are the people, it's like they really achieve happiness because they don't have walls that they put up, right? They're just genuinely very kind people. Like I've seen people where they're like that and you like they might not be the best looking or something like that, but you can just smell the joy on them. You can smell that happiness on them and it's just very alluring. Yeah. Yeah, like if you're a really like nice person, I think in New York it's like suspicious as hell. It's like, why are you so nice? Like there has to be an end game at mind. It's like, no, there's no end game. The guy who gave me the bottle did not have an end game. He just gave me a bottle because he's a nice person, right? But it's easy to be like, ah, well, maybe he's doing that because he wants to get ahead in life and he wants to, people to think well of him because then he'll be known as the guy who gave like thing. No, no, like this person is not like that. I can guarantee you that. They're just a really nice person. Yeah, I chose to just tell them straight up, like, yeah, they were just really nice and they were just very, I really appreciated that. And yeah, that's why I told them, I said, I'll make sure that I keep this little bottle in a cabinet and it will be safe for a very, very, very long time. It's one of those items like I would never get rid of unless I pass it on to another person because I see it as like a signal of hope and goodness in the world. Unselfish goodness and hope and love in the world. A little bottle. Yeah, maybe I'll do a stream about it. Show you guys a bottle and have a more focused video, not a 1 hour and 6 minute video about me just talking about this kind of stuff. But yeah, I just yeah. So that is my goal. One of my goals in life: be a lovely person. Understand. Sometimes it's necessary to have walls up, but at the end of it, at the end of my life, I just want to just think to myself and know like, yeah, my life wasn't like the smoothest life ever, but I just tried to I just tried to be nice to people. I tried to just make people happier. And but yeah. Yeah, I try to make people happier and I try to live a happy life myself. And I try to encourage good habits in people. I try to encourage people to be respectful of one another and not just jump on like certain things where it's like us versus them, but rather we can see it as like, hey, we can be that little bright ray of sunshine if people are open to it, right? But again, you can't change if people see certain aspects of people as weak. That's not a you problem. That's a them problem. But it doesn't mean you have to be closed-minded or anything like that, or you gotta be someone else that you're not. But just understand that yeah, some people will not ever like you because they'll say, I know how that person is. I know that guy just gave that bottle because he just had an end game, and that's not, like I said, if you know reality, then you have nothing to worry about. Yep. So I think we're gonna see more people, I think, walled off in the future in New York, and I think that we'll see unless something changes. I think things will get worse in New York. I've been hearing people been telling me crime is going up in New York, and I'm like, oh, surprise, surprise. um, and yeah, you gotta change certain things that goes on. It's not like New York's not throwing enough money. It's just like you can throw all the money in the world, but if people don't change, they don't change, right? Yeah, it's just that you can give them resources, but if they choose not to seek those resources, then they're not gonna change. Yeah, they're not gonna change, and the state, the quality of people are just gonna degrade. Yeah, but yeah, always be kind to people. Always be respectful. I don't want to have walls up to people that I talk to, kind of thing. But I think that some people expect those walls. Either way, you need to have some sort of open communication and stuff like that. Yeah. I've known I've known people, like I said, they're so nice. They're so nice that, like, before I thought to myself they're just a nice person. But I guess, after living and being in New York, I just think to myself sometimes, like, these people, my goodness, they would have their goodness squashed out of them if they were living in New York. So it's best they stay on a little tropical island. Like Hawaiians be Hawaiians kind of thing. Like just stay as like a just stay in Hawaii. Like so they can continue just brightening up our little island so they don't get like scuffed out in New York. I really but yeah, the people in Hawaii I think are really the greatest asset of Hawaii. It's not it's just their hearts, their souls, their mind, their personality. And I think it's great. Yeah, so 1 hour and 11 minutes. It's almost 5 a.m. So I'm gonna get going. I think some people are just probably like, Erica, you just like, we get it now. Like, we get it. We get what you're trying to say. But yeah, I rather just do these kind of streams and maybe someone will pick up something from it. Maybe someone will, if they're struggling and they live in New York and they're wondering, like, why is it this kind of place? Like, please understand. It's just the way things are. I don't know if that will really change. I think there's a lot of people who are just on guard because they're just used to the scammers and the hateful people in the world, and people appropriately, you know, are the way they are. But yeah, so thanks to mental health support, and thanks to also just me having so much like work and putting in the work and just working on my mental health kind of thing, recognizing like, hey, I have to change. I gotta be like more. I gotta be stronger. um I gotta be, I don't want to say I have a switch, but something similar to that. And yeah, me mentioning something like a switch, I know people would say, oh, Erica sounds like no. It's like I gotta protect my mental health. So like, if I am not mentally healthy, I affect the people around me, right? So that's why it's so important for me to be in control of my thoughts, my actions, and just communicate. I have no fear, right? Now, now that I've been talking and to people and getting help and things like that and having systems put in place, now it's like I think to myself, hey, if someone says to themselves, Erica's a little too clingy, like, that's on them. Like, if they hold that against me, that's on them. That's not on me. Because I just, like I said, I don't want to live a life where I feel like people just feel, people feel like I'm, I don't want to live a life where there's mis misperceptions about me, misconceptions about me. So I rather just be upfront and say, hey, I'm getting mental health support. I'm trying to be better. These are the stuff that I'm doing. And yeah, I might not be 100% like mentally checked in at times, but I do have a commitment to myself and I do want to um, just make, just be more mentally healthy so I can just be a brighter spot in the world. I don't want to get lost in my head. I don't want to wall up. I don't want to get lost in my head ever again in my life because it's like a very destructive thing. I rather just communicate. This is how I'm feeling right now, and these are the thoughts on my mind. And I want to express it. And putting myself in possibly embarrassing and vulnerable situations. I'm not scared of that anymore. Because up front, I'm not a perfect human being. I don't claim to be perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect at all. And I think if you approach life in that way and you just say this stuff, like, hey, there are going to be missteps that I do in my life. Maybe people will think this of me, but if you have a problem with me, seriously bring it up because I'm not going to take offense to it. I just need to communicate that kind of stuff. Uh, no, I don't mind going back into the clown segments, man. Like, I have no problem calling people out, kind of thing. There are a lot of clowns out there. You know what the thing is, though? Like, here's another thing, right? Like, just because you have money, right? Just because you surround yourself with, let's say, Louis Vuitton stuff, that does not make you a high quality person. Because I've known people, okay? Like, well, you know, when I was selling at the convention, right? There was this one chick, and she was like, she had a total attitude problem. I could just like tell, and it's not like I'm projecting or anything like that. I could just tell based on the way she was. And then I remember I looked and she had some like Hermes stuff on her. And I was thinking to myself, like, right, I wasn't looking for it. I just noticed it. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, man, I wonder if she just like you can just tell like there's some people who just like they act like you're beneath them. And I don't like people like that. I don't even want to like meet people like that. I'm like, dude, I want to meet people where they have such good hearts that even if like that's their wealth. You know, that's what they lead with. I love the people who lead with their heart and their character and their mind and they try to make the world a better place. I adore those people. I don't care too much about the people who have luxury items. I can buy, you know, an LV bag right now if I wanted to. You know, I could buy a nice car if I wanted to. But, you know, it's like I don't feel a need for it. So, yeah. Yeah, I want people to like freaking shape up. You know, both males and females. Like I have no problem saying like there's some of my behavior is clown up behavior. But that's one of the things that influenced me to go and get help because I said I can't live a life where I'm just, you know, living in insecurities like that. Like I gotta like step up because I don't want people to be like, oh, look at Erica, she's so weak, or you know, she's this or that, and that's why I clearly communicated like many times before, like you guys like don't wall up. You might think you're doing people a favor if you're walling up and you're like depressed, but you're really not because you don't know. People could be like, you know, what's up with you? You know, why do you have a, you know, why aren't you like talkative? Like, do you like what is it kind of thing? It's just like, dude, I'm just like that's the way I handle things. I just kind of shut down and I just stay quiet because I don't I don't want to share that pain. But in hindsight, I think if I had changed things and I said, you know what, I'm going through some depression and I need people to just be understanding of it. And I'm a pretty emotional person. So yeah, I'm working through things. No, you know, like that's just the way I am. Like don't take anything I do personally. It's just me trying to like work with me kind of thing. It would have been different. No, I mean like I get agitated when you have these. Here's the thing, okay? You have clowns, right? And if people don't call on the clowns, these clowns continue to go out in the world. Like if you have a kid with a clown and you're a woman, your kid is going to be like Bozo Jr., okay? Like you cannot expect, right? You cannot expect a kid to like not take after like certain qualities of their mom or dad. So I think it's very important for people to screen for partners because if you end up with like Bozo Jr., you're going to feel like you failed as a parent, right? Like if you have a guy, for instance, who is just so disrespectful, you know, and they have these like thoughts about women, right? Like, oh, the best kind of woman, let's like give an example, right? Like the best kind of woman is a woman who just um who who just like stays in the kitchen and makes sandwiches, like those kind of guys, the kinds where it's like, okay, well, I'm top because I'm a guy and that's it. Like there's no quality. It's just like he has his twig and berries and he considers himself to be, top quality just because his brain can't wrap himself being a low quality guy, right? Those kind of guys, right? If they have kids with a woman, that guy will influence want his kid to be similar to him because he would see himself as a top quality guy. Now, everybody else can see the guy is a freaking clown, but he doesn't see it that way. So he's going to tell his kid to be a quote winner like him, and then that's how Bozo Jr. Grows up. If like the mom doesn't like take control of the situation, I think it's so much harder to make sure a kid is raised right when you have like freaking clown or clownette in the situation. You see, that's why like for me, like I thought about it, and I said, yeah, I gotta get like myself mentally healthy because if I do, want to have a kid one day, I take having a child is a huge, huge blessing and responsibility. And I don't want my kid to be like me and wall up, right? That's why I would say, hey, kiddo, you know, I just want to let you know life is going to give you problems. And if you feel overwhelmed by problems, let me know. Let's talk about it. Let's have open communication. Like I'm your mom and I want to be there for you. I want to support you. I want you to accomplish your dreams. And if there's anything I can do, right? Let me know, let your dad know, and we'll try our best to help you. We might not know everything, but we got your back, kiddo. Like that's the kind of parent that I want to be. I don't want to be the kind of parent where it's like, oh, my kid is depressed. Oh well. I want to have open communication because I know what the downside of having closed off communication is. I've seen how people view me when I wall off, and I'm not proud of it at all, but I can't change the past. The only thing I can do is change my actions moving forward. And that is the reason why you see me becoming a lot more vocal about certain things. And you just see me be like, hey, these are the kind of things that I have on my mind because it's not all about me. It's a bigger picture here, right? Like, we got to make sure that the frickin' future generations and the people that we interact with, like, we want them to be better people. I want people to be better. Like, I don't get anything out of just like talking about the clown and clownettes, like, personally. Like, I just say this because I think some people don't realize they have clown or clownette behavior and they're just really hurting themselves. They're hurting their chances. So if you have a person who, for instance, let's say they are depressed and they're not seeking mental health, and then they hold resentment towards the world and they just continue to do that, is it any wonder that their life is going to be unhappy? And then what? They can't find they don't reach out to people. So then they say like, oh, I don't have any friends, I don't have any significant other, and I'm such a loser, like that kind of stuff. Like, that I would say is definitely a shade of like clown behavior, clownette behavior. Like, get some mental health support. There's nothing taboo about it, because if you want to live a better life, you have to change your ways if your ways are not working. But yeah, see, I would not have been able to recognize those kind of things if I did not, make that decision and say, okay, I have this kind of awareness within myself. So I want to take steps to make sure that I don't fall into traps because, yeah, if I have a kid one day, I'm going to try to be a really good parent and I'm going to talk to people and say, hey, um, what can you like can you give me some advice? I saw, here's another thing that I saw, and I think I might do a separate show about this. I saw this woman. She was with her small child, and she told the kid, she said, "Oh, do you want that?" And the kid was like, "Yeah." And then they said, "Well, go ask her. Go ask auntie, how much this keychain is." And then the kid was so shy. She didn't want to talk to me. And then she says, "Oh, she kept like going back to her mom, like, wanting a hug from her mom, just kind of like arms crossed kind of thing. You could tell the kid was just didn't want to face like uh, uneasiness. And the mom was just so nurturing to her child. And like, come on, ask her what the price is. You want it, go get it. Go ask her what the price is. And then yeah, so she asked me how much is the keychain, and I told the little girl, I said, "Oh, it's $1." And then the mom said, "Do you want it? Do you want that for $1?" And the little girl was kind of shy, and she said, "Yeah." And then she went in her little wallet. She has this little plastic pouch, and then she gave me $1. And I said, "Thank you," and then the mom said, "Come on, tell her thank you, tell her thank you, tell Auntie thank you for that." And then she said, "Thank you." And then I immediately told the mom, like, hey, what you're doing is such an amazing thing. And I told the mom, I said, I've known people where they feel so insecure talking to others. And for you to guide and encourage your child to talk to people at this young age, it's amazing. And what the mom told me is that she noticed this in other people as well. So she wanted to be a hands-on mom. And while her kid is like about 5 years old or so, right? I think the kid was like 4 or 5. She wanted to have the kid, work through those uneasy feelings because that way, when the kid is older, they're going to be more comfortable interacting with people socially. And I just thought, like, when I like I said, when I saw this, I was just like so surprised in a very good way. And that makes me think, like, yeah, raising a child, huge responsibility. Yeah, but you recognize the flaws you see in other people or in yourself. You can use that as a learning experience. Teach the kid young, teach the kid to be respectful, right? Teach the kid to say thank you, teach the kid to ask questions, teach the kid to approach other people. And then the kid will be more and more conditioned to be well socialized. So I notice these kind of things, right? And I notice, like, when you have good parents, and good parenting, I think, is just, like I said, I think it's a big responsibility. And if anybody is, doing these kind of actions for their kid, really great stuff. Really great stuff. That's how they make really good citizens in the world. Well, if a clown finds a woman willing to have his kid, I think it's a lost cause at that point because I think things are getting better in today's world because people are free to choose. It depends, like I've said it before. I said I think that I think there's like about 50-50 chance. Like 50% clowns and then I like I told you, like I can notice I can notice like clown behavior. I don't like people who have egos. I think that, the kind of people who it's like, oh, you can't, I gotta protect my ego kind of thing. It's like, dude, that's not a sign of maturity. Like we all have egos, but we need to put aside our egos and then look deeper within our character. Because I can fall between behind my ego and be like, oh yeah, I walled up, but yeah, it's not a me problem, it's everybody else's problem. Screw the world. I'm just gonna like like alienate myself from the world. But I chose not to do that. I said, I recognize I have a problem, I need to get help, and I need to just like work on forming better habits. And I think people can tell just based on the way that I speak and based on the way like I talk about things now. I think people can tell, like, yeah, there's a lot of things. It's just like I'm just being more communicative. Yeah, but you gotta want to turn around too. I think it's easier to influence kids in a positive direction. Please, thank you, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I definitely, like, if I had a kid, man, I'd try to make sure my kid had like eradicated like a lot of clown and clownette behavior. I would say to my kid, like, okay, you did this. Do you understand the consequences of it? And like, for instance, you did not set your alarm yesterday, so you woke up early, and then as a result of that, I know you got stressed out. So I want you to recognize that your actions have choices. If you do not set an alarm and you wake up late and you miss your favorite TV show, that's the reason why you have to set an alarm. Morning cartoons or something like that. You know what? I mean, like you can have confidence, but I think true confidence, you can tell it, you can smell it on a person. It's not just, oh, okay, look at me. Like I got this Louis Vuitton bag. No, I can, based on the way people, I can't put my finger on it what it is exactly, but for truly confident people, I can feel it in their pores, kind of thing. It's not like they're like hiding behind a handbag or something like that. Yeah, yeah. It's good to teach your kid to recognize clowns and stay away from them. Yeah, this is like if I had a kid, I would make sure that my kid hung around people like those people that I was telling you about, the people who offer food to people freely, the people who just, say, "Hey, uh like they're just so kind and loving, and I would want my kid to be part of that ecosystem. Hey, you got to make sure you show respect, okay? Because they're showing respect to you, so you be respectful to them. They don't bite, but they really want to get to know you. And I know maybe you're not keen to open meeting them right now, but believe me, once you see how funny they are, how kind they are, you're gonna love talking to them, kind of thing. Like that's the kind of thing that I want to like encourage in a kid. Like, yeah, meet people, and not everyone's gonna get along with you, but yeah, there's a lot of good people out there in the world. So you see, so I would actively want to control my kid's reality. I would want to have my kid around really warm, friendly people, so that way my kid has this idea that there's a lot of warm, friendly people out there in the world, and if they meet an asshole, they're gonna say, well, it's just them. like like that's not part of my reality. You see? Like that in itself is kind of shaping things. And yeah, if they come across a person who's like, you're just so uncool, right? I would be like, look, kid, you got so many people who think you're awesome and you're great. You're gonna really let this one person tear you down? You think anyone thinks that they're that awesome? Not really. you know you try to make a difference in the world, kid. Don't let the words of that one person who maybe, who may be going through things like stop your momentum. Don't let them snuff out your shine. So yeah, I would want to make sure my kid has a lot of good mentors, a lot of good people around them, like good-hearted people. And then I think it would be natural that my kid would also be very good-hearted as well. But you got to find these people, right? I mean, not just find them, but like keep in touch with them. And it's not hard to keep in touch with a person um, who just has such, wonderful qualities about them, right? Like if they're good people and you can kind of tell that, yeah, they're great. Like you're not gonna have some like, clown behavior coming from their side. You're gonna think, hey, good person, really nice person. So yeah, women need to be very choosy about guys because that could be their kid's potential father, and the same thing for guys. You don't want to end up with a clownette. Okay, I do not want I do not want you guys to like just say, follow. Like that's why you don't hear me talk like very positively about people who think they're like, I understand women, I know women's nature, and this is how you should be towards like no. Be a good person. See people for who they are, not really how they look like, right? And this kind of mindset is what brings about a healthy child in the future. Not any of this whole thing where, you talk about the wall and crap like that. It's like that stuff. Like seriously, I would not want to talk about have any of that stuff exposed to my child. I would say, look, kid, there are some people out there who think they're a know-it-all based on their experiences, and they cling on to this hope that all people are the same. But you know that, for instance, you know, Uncle Sam is different than, Uncle Samuel is whatever. I don't know. Look at me another name. Uncle Mike is different from Uncle Jerry, right? So they're two different people, but you're not going to say that they're bad or terrible people, right? They're completely different, but they're both nice. So you need to be around people who have like the same kind of qualities. And they're out there, right? They're out there. There are nice uncles and there's nice aunties. And, there's some aunties who are just, a little too much, but there's also aunties who are just very sweet. You got aunties that are very, young and very aunties that are not so young. But, are you going to discard your nice aunties because, they're older? No, you wouldn't do that. Why would you want to like stop talking to one of your aunties? So, yeah, just like forget about those people, they're just kind of stuck in their ways and just connect with the community. That's what I would say. Kind of thing. I would not even entertain that idea. And I would say, there's a lot of people who just like they're very angry and then they follow this stuff because it makes them feel good about themselves. But yeah, they're not really happy. That would be uh, my thing about it, my interpretation of it. So yeah, um, I want my kid to be very, I want my kid ideally to have a lot of systems in place so that way they're encouraged to be mentally healthy. I want my kid to fall back on their support system, fall back on me, fall back on their on their father, fall back on their family, their friends. I want them to be able to ask people for help. If they tell me, hey, I have something bothering me, can I talk to you about it? I want my kid to talk to people. I want them to get advice from people who are wiser than I am, more knowledgeable than I am. And that's how you make the next generation better. Being a very hands-on parent, being very mindful about where you fall. You fall short as a person, but then say, okay, this is what I learned in my life. I don't want my kid to make certain mistakes as me. So I'm going to make sure there's systems in place to help prevent that or help minimize those mistakes. Yeah, like it's all about a learning experience, like that's why like some people they'll be like, "Oh, are you mad? Are you sad?" I'm like, "Yeah, it sucks, it sucks." Like I'm not looking forward to certain things just because it's like it makes me feel uneasy. But what I realize is that, in life we can either shy away from things or we can face things. And I think that situations can either make us, break us, or cause us to be stagnant. And I don't want to just be stagnant. I want to just face my fears and then say, hey, you know what? Like, I'm falling short or I fell short, and that's okay. I'll try to be better in the future. And yeah, I think having those kind of open communications is incredibly, so incredibly good. And yeah. Yeah, so yeah, some people like I said, they find it weird or they think to themselves like, "Oh, if you're friends with your exes, you must want to get back with them." But again, I don't like to have this thing where I say, "Okay, if we break up, then they're dead to me." Like I don't like that. I think it's very short-sighted because like what, I don't talk to some of my friends for like 2 years. I'm never gonna talk to them again or something like that, or we had a fight, like I'm never gonna talk to them again. Like it's like stupid to do that kind of stuff because then you just throw away a person that you saw good qualities in. So I like to, say, hey, we did not work out in a relationship. And you fell short, I fell short, we both fell short. It just didn't work out. But that's no reason to just say, screw you. Yeah, forget you. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, there's no reason. Like I can't, yeah, like no one, like we meet so many people in the world. That's not a reason to just say, yeah, okay, we didn't work out in a relationship. So let's just like pretend we didn't exist. See? Like that's stupid. That's like some stupid emotional thinking. So that's why I choose to say, hey, yeah, we should talk. We should be friends and things like that. And yeah, like my exes know, like if they call me up, I'll talk to them. They want some advice, I'll talk to them. But they need to reach out to me, and I've said that repeatedly. I say, I'm not a mind reader. You know that I care about you. So if you're going through anything, you need to talk to me. You need, like, if I don't answer a text, like, call me up, because again, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what people are going on through their heads. But yeah, I like to be there. I like to have a lovely life where I said, hey, yeah, I didn't marry, you know, multiple people, but I have good relations with them, and I think that's a beautiful life. I think it's a beautiful life to have people that you care about and you wish the best for in your life. Yeah. I don't want to think like just because didn't work out with someone romantically that they have to be dead. It's like stupid idiot thinking over here. And anybody, like I said, anybody who has any problems with this kind of stuff, then that just shows that they're insecure. Because I am totally comfortable. If I'm dating a person, I'm totally comfortable with them talking to their ex. Because I think of it this way, right? If they, let's say, if I'm dating someone and then let's say their ex is able to win them back, I would say it wasn't meant to be. Because how do I know 2 years down the line or 20 years down the line, they're not going to just be all like, was it like Prince Charles, Diana, and Camilla, right? I don't want that situation. I don't want, hold on. Yeah, I don't want that kind of situation. I don't want a situation where someone tells me that kind of stuff. I'd rather just be like, hey, you know what? You want to go with it back with your ex? Like, let me frickin' know. Cause yeah, I'm gonna just think to myself, it wasn't meant to be, you know? So that's why I don't have any insecurity about someone talking to their exes. I don't want anybody being all like, oh, Erica, you're trying to tell me, you don't trust me kind of thing. So yeah, up front, if I'm in a relationship with someone, they know that I talk to my exes. They know that if my exes call me, I will answer the phone or I will get back to them, because these people were in my life for like 8 years or so. So, and counting. So yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, I live in a thing with fear. People are adults. I ended up smoking 6 or 7, and I was still feeling angry, so I said, yeah. Yeah. If you're angry and if you're angry about your life and you're not actively working on your life, then you have to. I think that anger comes from feeling like you're helpless. I feel like it feels like you just can't feel like you can't do anything. And truly, maybe we are limited in what we can do and cannot do in the world, but we have control in how we view things. That's why when I talk about this whole New York thing, New York people versus Hawaii people, like, do you hear me being all like, oh yeah, New York people like suck? No, I'm just like, well, they're different, you know? It's like, it's like freaking, I don't want to say battery sizes, but it's like they're freaking different. Like, if you have like, it's just like, yeah, it's just different. So it's not like, like New Yorkers get along with New Yorkers kind of thing. That's it. People do get married and things like that. They do find love, but it really turns into, compatibility and stuff like that. I think it'll be harder for certain, like, if people are just like too different to work out, like romantically or something like that. Oh, geez. Yeah, but I mean, like, said Dane, why don't you talk to them? Do you not talk to them because you thought they were clownettes, or do you just not talk to them because you guys just don't make an effort? Like, I think people have to have like emotional maturity in certain things. Like, yeah, not everything's gonna work out, and that's totally fine. Like, I have guy friends, I haven't dated all of them, kind of thing. That's fine. Like, there are people in your life who are meant to be just, maybe best friends or good friends or really good friends, but I think, that we really just have like a few people that we could really get along with in terms of like a really strong relationship or like you know that kind of material. But yeah, like I said, I think I think people need to be very careful about screening partners, and I don't go into this whole thing where I say, oh yeah, I gotta like date a guy who has like he looks like, I don't know, a pop star something like that, because looks fade, right? It really does. I know people where back in the past, if you look at their old pictures, they were really, let's say, good looking, and then age happened, and then they lose their looks, but they're still with their partners. It's not like you get into this whole thing where you're like, oh, the girl turned 26. You know what we do? We dump her ass because she's so old. She's so old. Yeah, all you guys who just cycle through women once they turn 26, just dump them because you're better than that, because you are a male. You're a high value male. Yeah, you don't need old women in your life. You need young, fresh, sexy women who are hot. Like, it's just like, it's like you're dating a mannequin or something like that. I don't know. Like, to each their own. If a guy can pull constantly 20, 25, 24-year olds when he's like, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, I would say like that guy has to be a unicorn, or he has to be extremely loaded. But what does that do psychologically when a guy's like, oh man, oh geez, yeah, she's turning like 20, she's going to turn 26 in like a couple months. Oh my God, I got to dump her ass because she's just a liability to me. Like, oh my gosh, it's just terrible. Why do I place so much emphasis on looks? I don't, what do you mean I place emphasis on looks? I don't place emphasis on looks. I'm commenting about the stuff that I pick up from out there. Now we're turning into like an extreme look-based society, and then you have certain movements where they put expiration date on women too, and yeah, it's just toxic as hell. It's really toxic. And it's like, oh, okay, well, there's a double standard here. It's okay for men to discard women, but it's not okay for women to discard men. because all men are high value. It's like, fuck. It's stupid. It is stupid. You know? It's such a double standard. It's like, well, it just is the way it is, kind of. I'm like, no. No, I reject that, you know? I mean, like, yeah, I know. People will be like, oh, Erica, you should just disappear. You're so old. No, no, I want to stay around for many, many, many years to come. And yeah, I've also spoken about it, right? Like the idiot thinking about, oh, okay, well, I'm not, I'm gonna show women. I'm not gonna get involved with the toxic women, so I will not have any children. Yes, I will not have any children because I don't want to deal with no women drama. So okay, well, so you're gonna work on yourself on being the superior human being and then just what live your Leonardo DiCaprio life and then what kick the bucket, I guess. Like yeah, I guess. Like that's it. Inspiring future generations of certain guys just to effectively stop their bloodlines. Real winners in the world. I don't think that's a smart thing. Well, think about it, right? Think about it. Like, our lives, I think we should try to make the world a better place, not just be so divisive. You want to help people out, you uplift the world. You don't go ahead and tear people down. You don't go ahead and be like, well, I'm a guy, so therefore whatever I say is right because I'm a guy. I know because I'm a guy. Like, no. So, yeah, I just don't, I choose not to listen to that stuff. Like, I think some points are valid, but there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resentment, and it's so much easier to just go on the women hating bandwagon than for people to look within. Yeah, yeah. You never heard about things like the wall and stuff like that. You've never heard about people saying things like, "Oh, yeah, you gotta like disconnect from women. Just don't engage with women," kind of thing, because they're bad, nefarious creatures that will destroy you, and they're sick in the head, kind of thing. Like I've heard about that too, and I'm like, dude, like so just because I don't have a twig and berries, that makes me innately evil? Like there's some people who believe that stuff. You see people run with it. They're like, "Oh, I had a girlfriend and then we broke up and yeah, she cheated on me." Like you hear about people being on like they got a divorce, they got cheated on, and then they just feel like all women are the same kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's just like, dude, you gotta like have a healthier mindset about people. And I'm saying, like, work on yourself. I'm not saying don't work on yourself. I mean, like, yeah, like I'm saying, I'm not saying, like, don't work on yourself. I think it's very important for people to work on themselves. But don't, like, make, like, the freaking opposite sex seem like the inferior sex. Like, it's just like, look, I couldn't help being born a female. I don't have any twig and berries, but that doesn't give me. So, yeah, um, that's my stance on those kind of situations. So yeah, I just ripped the earpiece out. Surprised, like I said, just don't be surprised if you have negative thoughts about people, then you see people in a negative light, right? Your mind controls your actions. If I was a guy and I saw like, oh yeah, these women are just, terrible people. Like I'm gonna look at women with resentment. And you think women really want to deal with a guy who just comes off as like so hateful towards them? Yeah, so like no woman would want to deal with it. No woman would want to hear a guy talk about like how the same kind of thing. Or like they'd be like, okay, you know what? If you think I'm gonna ruin your life, then yeah, no, it's buffering. Yeah, thank YouTube for that. So yeah, make your own decisions in life. Don't but always be optimistic would be my suggestion. Don't live a life where you just like go into this movement where you just see one whole gender or one whole sex as like inferior to you. And like I said, I reject that notion. I think that sometimes, in a couple, the guy will be superior. Sometimes it'll be the female who's superior. But I think for parenting, people really do need to be around the same page. So, um, you can't I would not suggest, any woman be with a guy who just says like, I understand women, I, I know because I read it online and yeah, kind of thing. Because yeah, it's a really good way to protect the ego too, right? You messed up, right? Instead of taking full accountability, you could be like, well, it's a you problem because you're a female, right? It's like a total like what was it called? Not night. What do they call it? Ego preserving. Ego preserving. And yeah, you know, I've come to recognize like ego preservation doesn't really work in their favor kind of thing. Yeah, I think yeah, whatever you believe in, it'll happen. You believe women are out to get you, you will distance yourself from women because you will believe that women are out to get you. You believe that all men are assholes, you're gonna go ahead and distance yourself from guys. And then if you hear about a guy messing up, you'll be like, yeah, he's an asshole, kind of thing. So yeah, when I talk about these clown videos, I'm not saying all guys or all women. I'm saying that people have these kind of can have these qualities and recognize them and try to be better. Like no clown has to stay a clown forever, okay? You can choose to get out of that thing. Some people got offended and they got pissed off and I'm like, dude, like I'm not saying you're going to be a forever clown if you want to get out of it. You can actually move on from being a clown or clownette. But yeah, that's the thing that I was saying. Like it's just funny to me when they're just like, yeah, we're gonna distance ourselves from women. We're gonna just like not have kids with them, and yeah, we'll show them. We will show them that we're top quality by not having any children. It's like all the things that you learned in life, all the stuff, you know, instead of investing in the future generation, you just wanna you just wanna like say, yeah, I am so fed up with opposite sex. I don't even want to like have an heir. Yeah, that's kind of funny to me. It's like it's kind of funny to me when people to think about it that way. It's like, hey, so all the knowledge just goes and just makes guys who will never have kids, possibly. Way to make the world a better place. Good job. Yeah, yeah, exactly. David brings a good point. Yeah, it is really simple, in my opinion. It's like, look, like I said, right? You keep messing up on something, like fix it. Either that or it's just gonna continue going on and on and on. But yeah, it's ego preserving to just blame women for certain things and just continue to believe in that, right? You got cheated on. Like that doesn't mean that all women or all guys are all cheaters, right? That just means that that was the luck of the draw for you. So yeah, you have a nasty custody battle with your ex-wife or ex-husband. That doesn't mean that it all has to be like that at all. And I do encourage people who get divorced to go back, and when they're ready to go back into a relationship. I really do believe it. I don't think I think like divorces happen and stuff like that. So what? But I don't think it's reason to be like I had a divorce, so I'm gonna say screw it to all relationships moving forward. Oh, this is I got, she cheated on me because it's like female nature kind of thing or male nature kind of thing. If you meet someone that you really respect and you really care about, you wouldn't cheat on them. That's just my stance on it. Oh, yeah, so we will see. We will see what people think of this video, and maybe it gives people some insight about the way that I view things and the way that I I see the world, and um, yeah, I just really I just really think sometimes like maybe there's just something that people will hear like what I'm saying, and then maybe if they're going down certain destructive habits or destructive tendencies, they'll pull themselves out of it because they'll be like, yeah, you know what, that actually does possibly make sense. So yeah, live your best life. Don't have hate in your heart would really be a big one. Love one another. Don't have hate in your heart. Don't be afraid of being vulnerable. Don't be afraid of um, don't be afraid of the unknown because life is really unknown. Oh, easy there, David. Easy there. For example, people who find partners in club and wonder why they're in happy relationships, the answer is really simple. It's not picking their partners in club. Oh, how about this? When you pick a partner on Tinder and then you find someone and then yeah, you find out they're like hooking up with random women. It's like, oh, that's a real smart way to pick people. Real smart way. I just think like if you're on Tinder and you're trying to find a partner, you're going to have less success finding a truly dedicated person because Tinder is like the hookup app, right? Allegedly. I've never used Tinder, but that's what I hear. Um and yeah, like if you meet someone at a club, I I mean like I don't know, like clubbing mentality, I guess it could work out, but yeah, I feel like people are better off just not meeting each other drunk. Drunk and like, oh, hey, you're hot. I'm drunk. I like you. Like that's not a good way. Like, how did you meet your future partner? I was in a club and then I saw her twerking or whatever, and yeah, she was really hot. And yeah, she was hot. And I went up to her and then she said I could buy her a drink. And then we started talking and I realized, yeah, she's like super hot. So then I tried to shoot my shot with her and then we hooked up and she's hot and she's nice. So yeah, like I love her. It's like uh, yeah, I've met some guys who have this kind of thinking. Like, why do you like her? She's hot. Okay, what else is about her? She's hot. Okay. That's some real deep stuff. Yeah, love at first lap dance. I felt love when I felt her gyrating against me. And she's hot. Oh gosh. Yeah, so I mean like I don't know about you guys, but when I have to think about my future, I don't want to be like, yeah, I was like half drunk and your dad was like drunk too. He was like buzzed out of his mind. Like that's not a good way to just like do that kind of thing. Maybe it's just me, right? It's like I was drunk, he was drunk, and but I thought we both thought each other was hot and we get along. So yeah, then we decided to have you. It's like, ooh, well, big, big intelligence, big knowledge. Yeah, yeah, brain. I know, I know. And then people get divorced. How come? How come it didn't work out? Oh, cause she went. She, I was on. I had to do something, and then she went back in the club, and another guy she thought she was hot, and then she cheated on me with him, cause yeah, she's hot. Yeah. So yeah, divorce happens, and then what could people do? They'll be like, I gotta find another person. I gotta go to another club and find another hot woman that's hot. Jeez Louise. So yeah, is it any wonder why we see people more focused on their looks and their aesthetic than their brain? I don't think it's that surprising at all. It's like I've always, I hear about like, oh, the woman's best quality about her is her looks, and that's it. And if she loses her looks, like she's disposable. And I think it's such toxic thinking because, yeah, I think that highly contributes to why some women have a lot of insecurity about themselves because they feel like, yeah, if they're not hot anymore, they're gonna get tossed out like a pile of dog poop, right? They're just going to be like, you're not hot anymore. I don't love you anymore. You're not hot. Why aren't you hot anymore? Gosh, like you used to be hot, but now you're not hot. So, yeah, like I'm, this isn't going to work out. And yeah, I saw this really cute chick, and yeah, I want to be with her because she's hot and you're not. Yeah. At that instance, that's when you would have to say, like, yeah, like I pray, like I pray, like I've said, I've known people who've gotten in divorces over this kind of stuff, um, and it's really unfortunate when when there's kids involved, because once there's like a small child especially, it gets really ugly. Like a child who's like a couple years old, that rocks their stability. And yeah, the one thing is like the mom lost her looks because she got pregnant, she had a kid, and then like she couldn't, she just didn't maintain her looks because she gave everything to that kid. So then they got divorced, and yeah, it wasn't good because she wasn't hot anymore. Yeah, that's what I heard. Meet a nice girl, nice guy, but West, those girls and those guys, they might not questionable about, how hot they're gonna be. Yep, 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 yep. But David, I do want to correct you, okay? You say that you think if you go down the path of focusing on your looks, then you'd have to continue to fight a losing battle because people lose their looks with age. False, false. You only have a losing battle if you are a woman. You do not have a losing battle if you're a guy because guys grow finer with age. You're gonna all be like George Clooney, right? But women, we're gonna look like, I don't know, Hilda the Hildebeest or something like that, the wildebeest. So, yeah, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, I reject a lot of this like toxic thinking where women are just like put down as like, oh, your flaw was that you just got old. And again, I think I've shared with you guys several times. There was this one woman, and she was just so beautiful, so great, and she got dumped because she got old. I think she was nearing 50 years old or something like that when she got dumped. And it wasn't like she let herself go, but she doesn't have the attractiveness like a woman in her mid 20s. Plastic surgery is expensive. So yeah, people make their own choices in life. If a guy is like, "Oh, well, I know the secret to happiness is swapping out women every couple of years," or when they get to be a certain age, then yeah, teach their own, but I don't think it's healthy. But yeah, you see people who it's like, oh, I want to go on and be older. I want to be that Hugh Hefner kind of guy where the guy's like, up there in age, but he has this hot young thing in a little mini skirt and she looks like she's a sugar baby or something like that. And then that way the guy's gonna be like, oh, look at me, I'm a man, I got a attractive, young woman who's like in her 20s. And yeah, you hear that? You hear all that? You low value guys who are with like women who don't look as hot as her? Yeah, you heard me right. You guys are pathetic. If you guys were smart, you would be like me and have this hot young thing on your arm. Looks aren't that important. I think, if you have like mental maturity, I'd say that you would say that, hey, looks are a factor, but it's not everything. But I think that we're living in a society now where increasingly it's like the focal point is looks. And I think that's why sometimes you see these women, right? Like they they get with these guys and the guys are like, I like you cuz you hot. And then they have these guys kids and then they're just so stupid. They don't recognize like this guy is just like he wouldn't be the best father. But they're just so flattered as women because they were able to have this guy's kid. It's like, what? Like, look, if the guy was like super loaded, I'd be like, okay, I guess that's her way of going at it, right? Like you hear about some of those Hollywood celebrities where they get divorced and then they end up having to spend like $30,000 a month child support. Like, yeah, I would say, okay, that's her game, I guess. She wants to get that 30,000 USD child support payment, but a lot of women aren't doing that. A lot of women are just like if they're just this kind of like clown woman behavior. It's like they're incapable of choosing a good partner, and then they end up with a situation where you basically got a clown and clownette together raising Bozo Jr. And yeah, so screen your partners, right? Screen your partners. Find out a little bit more about them than if they're hot or not, and see the qualities within them if you think it's attractive. It's not just all about like hookup culture. Like I get it, I think some people want to do the notch in the belt thing. Feel like they're walking in the footsteps of George Clooney or Brad Pitt. But yeah, and if they can't do it, then they'll be like, "Oh, it's not my fault. It's the women's fault. Why don't the women want me? Frick women. Women don't understand. I'm a good guy." Like kind of. Oh, jeez. It's like problem after problem after problem. So let's see. You have to be able to look at your partner and smile, but beyond that, that's not important. Does your partner make you look good? Because, yeah, you got some people who it's like they just think to themselves like they want to live that Hugh Hefner lifestyle. You guys remember Hugh Hefner, right? He walked around in a bathrobe, had a bunch of like hot, sexy blondes around him. That's quote a man. That is a man. Yeah, George Clooney actually settled down. He has like twins, if I remember correctly. He married a human rights lawyer who is definitely over the age of 30. 30. And, she's not 30 years old. And yeah, but she seems like she's a great chick. So yeah. So don't, like I said, you don't see me doing these like hard things about me understanding the nature of women kind of thing and just being all like, yes, you must avoid these women. I would just say, just be yourself. Don't try to pretend to be someone you're not. Don't try to be like the moral, think of yourself as like the superior freaking sex or gender because that's not the way to go. You got to lead with who you are, not like the fact that like I have twig and berries, hear me roar. That's like some freaking like super clown thing. Yeah. Super clown. So yeah, I'm happy that it's like I look at certain things now in a different light, and I just think to myself like, ouch, someone needs to talk about this stuff and just talk about it in a very open fashion. But I wanna, I don't feel like, what the thing is like. I feel like people are setting themselves up for a life of unhappiness if they choose to follow these kind of guidelines and rules about hard labels and ego protection measures and things like that. Yeah, just be yourself. Be the best version of yourself, really. And when I talk about best version of yourself, it's like for me, right? Like I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be better mentally and physically and things like that. I'm not trying to conform to whatever rigid checklist there is, because if I did, I would have excluded myself out of there, but a long, long, long time ago. And yeah, I don't wanna like date myself. I don't wanna be like, okay, well, once I turned this age, I turned into expired milk. Therefore, I should see myself out of the world because I am doing males a visual disservice by existing when the only women who should exist are hot, attractive females who basically tell guys that they're perfect and they have no flaws and things like that. What do you like to do? Oh, I don't, it's like I just like to be sexy and cute and things like that. And, what are your problems in life? I have no problems at all, that kind of, it's like a freaking robot. It really is, would be like being a robot. And yeah. But I've kind of entertained the thought, like, would the world explode if we just said, okay, all the quote unattractive women, let's remove them all off the face of the earth. Let's just tell them to just, go off to another side of the country or something like that, or another side of the world for just a week. And yeah, let's see how the world is without any females. Probably would not be good at all. I think the world would just kind of fall apart bigly. Yep. So yeah, people, like I said, people do just follow these trains of thoughts, and then they just, when they have a negative experience, they're like, see, I should have followed that train of thought. I was wrong, and these are the higher guidelines, and I will find a happy relationship if I follow these guidelines. And I'm like, bullshit, bullshit. That would just cause more depression. That would cause more cynicalism in the world. And you could find something good, and you could have it smack dab right in your front of you, but then you would find every way to pick at it and every way to just like tear it down. And then when it finally conforms to your standard, then you'll be like, I knew I was right. Right? So like that's it, you know? Like if you have a guy who gets into a relationship and the chick starts losing her looks, right? She gains weight. Like the guy will be like, "Oh, see, I knew it. I knew she was gonna be a mess because she's a female. She hit the wall, and it was my fault for being with her when she hit the wall because she's just pathetic and she's just a loser. And yeah, I need to remove myself from the situation. Let me just say she is like wasted effort because I am like George Clooney. So I will find a hotter female, and it will be easy for me to find a higher female because when I first met her, I was, let's say, I don't know, give me an age, like 37, and now I'm 46. So I'm aging like wine. And for me to go back into the dating pool, man, all these women are going to be after these 40s. For me, I'm 46. And yeah, they're going to be all after me because I'm a 46-year-old high value male. Oh yeah. And then they go out there, and then the freaking idiots they just say like, yeah, I'm a guy. I'm an older guy, and then the women are not going to be interested in them. They're going to be like, okay, so why should I pick you over a guy who's my age? Because I'm aging like wine. You see where I'm getting at? And then yeah, then the women rejects them. Then they get all bitter and hateful about the world, and then it turns into the next poster. Turns to the next post, you know, and it's not good. It's not good. And they create their own problems because it's just easier to blame women for everything. Something happened, blame women. Why are you working yourself over nothing? I'm not working myself over nothing. This does not reflect my life. I'm just talking about it because I see it over and over and over. I see it in like the stuff that saw on the internet. And I'm sure people are falling into these traps. Yeah, I talk about these things. I rather just talk about it than just being all like, oh yeah, life is great, life is perfect. Yes, just be nice. Okay, bye, you guys. Oh yeah. But yeah, recognize clown behavior, and just remove yourself from it because it's not good. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your mental health. And the moment that you start falling into these kind of things, and you just start adopting some ideologies, I think it just doesn't go good. Yeah, like I said, it's ego protection measure. Ego protection measure. And, right, like I said, these guys, they have kids, they're going to be screwed because the kid is not going to be mentally healthy at all. They're not. I don't ever want to be with any guy who sits down the kid and says, "Kid, I'm going to tell you how women are. I'm going to tell you the nature of the real nature of females." Cuz then the kid will be like, "Oh, so, like your views about people is based on that." It's like, "Yeah, I'm right," kind of thing. I want to save you some time, kiddo. Help you navigate the treacherous womanly ways. And yeah, uh, you must be wary about female nature and things like that. Every boy has a talk with their dad. No, I don't. I don't think guys really talk about disparaging about women like that. I would never want to have a kid with a guy who has disparaging views about women. You know, I really wouldn't. I rather, yeah, I would. I would never put myself in that situation at all. It's not good. I wouldn't want to have a kid become some soldier of a toxic movement, some future soldier. Yeah, yeah. Like, like I said, right? Ego protection measure. You don't have to work on yourself if you just blame other people. You don't. You don't have to just like do anything different. Your brain will just be like it's other people. And yeah. So yeah, that's why I don't like it when people talk about women like that. It's just so bad. It's so bad. And then you don't know also, right? If you were to, let's say certain things, you don't know how hurtful it can be to a woman. Because I shared with you guys, right? When I was in my 20s, I used to listen to freaking Sandman and stuff like that. I used to follow that stuff. I used to be, I used to hear about what was being said, and I thought to myself, like, man, guys really believe this stuff? Man. Oh, is that the reason why I can't find anybody? Is it because I'm not, hot, sexy, and things like that? Is it because, I don't dress a certain way? And I met guys where they were just, they were just all about like the whole visual thing, the whole looks thing. And it really messed with my head because it's like I felt like outside of my looks, I had no value as a person. I couldn't see what else. I thought like guys could not recognize like my personality. They would just focus on looks. And it also doesn't help when, people will say like, yeah, you should get plastic surgery. You should get plastic surgery and that way you'll be hotter. And if you have hotter, then you'll have, um, you know, guys will like you more. And yeah, if I got plastic surgery, that would have been like $20,000 worth of plastic surgery. And I just, as you guys know, I never got it done. But yeah, it's just like I just felt like I was so inferior. And I just felt like, man, I'm such a mess. And yeah, I let thoughts like that get into my head. Yeah, but yeah, if you have, like I said, if you know any person who has these kind of clown thinking and you're a woman or you're a guy, let's say, like really just be mindful about the future because that person could leave your ass, you know? And if they leave your ass, then you would be the one hurting. You really would. Because you would think to yourself, is it because I turned, a certain age and signs of aging started appearing like crow's feet, fine lines, wrinkles, sagging skin. And yeah, I've read stories about women who get dumped when they're 70 years old. 70 years old, you guys. Can you imagine getting dumped by your husband when you hit 70? Oh, it's so painful. No, I do admit that there are really good guys out there in the world. I'm not being pessimistic about that. I've said I think there's about, but you should expect about 50% of clowns. I've never said like I think all guys are bad or anything like that. I definitely don't feel that way. There definitely are men out there in the world, and I admire and I respect them a lot. But in terms of, like the low quality guys, like women, like I know it might sound cool if a guy pays you attention, but if he's a low quality guy, like you cannot associate with him. I don't care how much he's all like, "Oh, but you're so hot and you're cute. Like, you're so hot and you have like the best body ever and I love you for that and things like that." But just like don't even waste your time with those freaking one-dimensional guys. Cuz once you lose your hotness, you're going to be kicked to the curb. You really are. And if you have a kid, that just complicates matters so much more. I don't think plastic surgery is a deal breaker. People want to look more aesthetic. The deal breaker is when the deal breaker though is when a person just yeah, the deal breaker is like I would say when a person just starts getting plastic surgery to fix insecurities. They start feeling like they're just so flawed that it's like you can tell that their flaws control their life, sort of thing. And I've met women who are highly, highly insecure, very, very, very insecure. Yeah, you know that thing. That's love, right? I love your body. I love the way that your body looks like, kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay, okay, good job, good job, bigger brain. Yeah. I like I said, I would highly recommend you guys like don't fall into hookup culture. Seriously, don't do it. It sounds cool, but I think a lot of people they don't realize the psychological damage hookup culture does. But, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just too weak, so I'm not understanding the bigger picture about how hookup culture works. But I think that I just don't think it's good because then there'll have to be a moment where people just like disengage. And when they disengage, one person will think, was I disposable? And the answer is that when one person or when they leave, yes, you were disposable because it was just good for, one short period of time. And that was it. And then it's like, okay, you don't provide any value to me other than hook up. That's it. So be wary of that, for any of you guys, like both guys and girls. I've seen people who got messed up because of hookup culture. I know more people who got messed up because of hookup culture than actually felt like they benefited from it. Yeah, so yeah, I think my stream just got all tangented, and yeah. So, oh my goodness, what time is it? Oh, it's freaking 6 a.m. Damn it. I will talk to you guys later. But yeah, just go and work on yourself, as I've always said, right? Work on yourself, recognize your flaws, and just always be kind to people. I'm not saying you gotta be like a Hawaiian or anything, but just don't try to be hateful and spiteful and whatnot to another person. It's okay to have like thoughts about a person, but just don't try to be a jackass towards them or something like that. And yeah, see the bigger picture about things. Like I think sometimes people they think to themselves like they'll do this whole hookup culture thing, and it seems sustainable when they're in their 20s, but then once they enter their 30s, it starts going downhill. And 40s, 50s, unless you're like super loaded, I'm not seeing that happen. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. I'm getting like super tired, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about stuff. I I just feel more and more mentally stronger. I care more, but there's also more less shits given as well. You don't want to be that person where you don't want to be that person where like you misjudge certain situations. And yeah, I think, and going back to that hookup culture thing, I think sometimes people misjudge things because they'll say, "Oh, I thought we had a good time," and then the other person would just say, "Yeah, I had a fun time with you, but at the end of it, it was just a hookup." See? Okay, you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. I shall see ya.